All right. How about we have some fun now with posing? So how about we ask one of our beautiful models, Devon, if you can come up here. Guys, just want you to know, if you ever hear of a girl, beautiful girl called Devon in the future, winning a Grammy for her singing or songwriting, she was here. All right. So this is Devon. Welcome, Devon, everyone. Woo-hoo! It's been really fun, guys. We've had a great time. Can we actually have the lights, please, so we can see a bit more clearer? All right. So, guys, what we'll do, actually, I might get this back a little bit. Now, this is an important one, guys. If you cannot see us where we are, you need to stand or be in a position where you can. So if some of you actually want to come right at the front and sit down and squat, whatever, you're welcome to. We're going to come right back here to give you guys every chance to actually see what we're doing. Is that cool with you guys? Okay, guys. So let me show you now. I want to give you a foundation of what it's like and how we pose people in the easiest possible way. So don't be shy, guys. Don't be shy. We're all family here. We're all friends. All right. Fantastic. Very good. Very good. So guys, let me show you how I posed someone at my very first gig, my very first wedding, in fact. Okay? Devon, over there for me, darling. So, can you lean forward? No, that looks a bit awkward. Turn your body to the left. My left. Okay, great. Can you bring your lean forward again? No, no, your butt looks big there. Now, that was me on my first wedding. I thought out loud. I didn't even know what I was thinking. I was saying, "Oh my God, your butt looks big," or "That doesn't look awkward," or whatever. You know, like it doesn't. It looks amazing. Oh, don't get me wrong, but I would think out loud, and it would show a lack of confidence and lack of skill, lack of education. I didn't know what I was doing. I quickly learned the easiest way to pose someone, and that was simply just getting them to mirror you. I just want to twerk. I want to twerk a little bit. Every city we've been doing something a little bit different, and I haven't done the twerk yet.
That was a new one.
That was a new one.
Yeah.
I'm twerking. Now let's stand right in the front here now, and let's sort of show you what we got here. Let me come back a bit, darling. As we said before, guys, if you photograph a woman front on, you're photographing her at her widest. Now, Devon is not wide at all, but I'm yet to meet a girl who wants to look bigger than she actually is. Everyone wants to look, in fact, slimmer, right? So, couple things here. What I start usually by doing is bringing the shoulders back and the arms off the body. Why? Because most girls, put your hands down again, most girls have an off-the-shoulder dress where the skin is exposed just underneath the armpit. Is that true? Off the shoulder? Unfortunately, though, the little chicken fillets, as I call them, little giblets of skin just hang over the dress, right? Not very attractive, but it's very tough, right? Very few people will not have them. Now, she's wearing a dress where you actually can't see them at all anyway, but if we did, for a couple of reasons, shoulders back, arms off the body. Why arms off the body? Because if you actually put an arm against the body, it's going to look flat and look bigger, and we don't want that, okay? And a byproduct of her bringing her shoulders back. The chest looks fuller, absolutely, and the torso becomes longer. It's very sexy, it's very beautiful, okay? Because curves define the female form. Now, whether we're talking from the top down or the bottom up, generally speaking, I believe that posing starts from the bottom up, but for the moment, we're going to be talking about the chest sort of downwards for the moment, okay? So it's really important that the chest looks fuller most of the time, unless you have someone who's generous in that area, if that makes any sense, okay? How else can we make the chest look fuller other than actually bringing the shoulders back? Here's how. On the count of three, quite awkwardly, everyone's going to look at your chest, but on the count of three, I want you to breathe in fully. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You see what happened? Her chest looked fuller, it became tighter, and again, her torso became elongated. Very beautiful, very sexy. Okay? Now, be careful, because some people, when they breathe in, they don't look that attractive. It's like you just want to Another thing that happens is that when you breathe in, apart from the chest looking fuller, by the way, that's really good for guys too. If you're photographing boudoir, like a guy taking his top off or something like that, you can, breathe in, tighten the stomach. It can be great for a guy with his top off if you're doing like some cool portraits of a guy or whatever. Another thing about when you breathe in, you cannot look bored when you breathe in. There's something that happens to the face. There's a spirit in the face that happens. So sometimes I do it purely for the face, forget about the body, okay? The arms off the body, we have to bring the arms off the body, but we have to give her an excuse to do that. Otherwise, it looks really weird. Otherwise, she looks like she's walking into a saloon about to draw a gun. You know what I mean? It's a bit silly. So you actually get her to hold hands, hold the arm. It could be holding hand to the hip. It could be holding her earring, holding her hair, holding the veil, something. Give her an excuse to bring the arm off the body, okay? All right. As far as the lower part of the body, okay, in terms of, that's the chest, for example, what I'd like to do is, in fact, I picture my couples on a turntable. And often if I'll pose them, and if I want to change the angle, I just simply move her around. Same pose, but move her around. I want a bit of an angle here because now I'm going to see the shape of her bust, the shape of her waist, the shape of her butt. It's very sexy on a woman, right? We want curves. Then what I do is I point the toe towards the camera, and then I slide the heel back in and bend the knee, and then we shift the hip back and arch the back. What happens is nice chest, waist, butt, curves, beautiful. This is one of the only times that I'm okay with chopping out a body part. Because what we're doing is, if we put one leg over the other and you're hiding the other leg or minimizing it, then you're actually emphasizing curves because you have width and then you have that thin part which you've got something to compare it to, rather than just flat and straight. Make sense? What some people get wrong, and I believe some of the old school posing I personally don't subscribe to, is when you point the toe and you bend the knee and then you bring the hip that back. If that happens, this ends up being a little bit thicker than maybe that. So personally, I like it when the toe is pointed to the camera, you slide the heel back and it keeps on pointing to the camera. Now, some people will actually shift their weight forward. So maybe Adolfo, like you were saying before about the bride, some awkward brides will do this. So point the toe towards the camera, point your toe, bend the knee, shift the weight back. But now, rest it forward. She'll do that. So that was what will happen. So, or she does this. Looks weird. What you basically say, put all your weight on your back leg. If you can lift the weight on your front leg, then you have it correct. Okay? It's there. Otherwise, I never really photograph a guy or a girl, for that matter, with a gap between their legs. Very rare. And if nothing else, if all she did, if she was flat-footed, and all you had to do is say, just bring one knee in front of the other. If that's all you did, you're doing something because you're shifting the weight one way or the other, giving her curves. I had one of my students at another seminar say to me, Jerry, what about an age-appropriate version of this? What happens if she was pre-teen, like 9 years old? Well, I don't want her just like this, like a tomboy. If that's what you're trying to say, go for it. But if all she did, the little girl, was this, it's cute and it's quirky. Rather than being too stylized, you wouldn't do that for a 9-year-old, okay? But that's depending on what you're trying to say. That sets the foundation for every female pose. Are you getting it, darling? Come over here for me. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. The more you resist, the more you'll do it, right? Okay, you ready? Point your toe that way.
Okay.
Okay, bend the knee. Now, guys, what I do is, if I want to move the bride's hips and she's not understanding, they're not my hips to hold. So I learnt this a little while ago, so do that again. Okay. So hands and arms, I touch. I have no problem in touching. So I grab her own hand, bring it on her hip, and I push it. It's appropriate to do that. You see how that feels? Mm-hmm. So lift this leg up. Beautiful. Down. Lean forward. Shoulders back. Lean forward. Face up. Chin up. Crack up laughing. Thank you, darling. All right, beautiful. If we're standing like that, we might not see the other arm that's further us away from the camera. Is that okay? I personally believe it is. It's either you get rid of it completely or show it completely to a certain extent. For example, if we point the toe, bend the knee, in fact, do it towards the camera here so we know what we're doing. So on a bit of an angle, point the toe, bend the knee, shift the weight back. See how from that particular angle, we might just get a hint of elbow and a hint of this. So if I either want all of it or nothing. If I just get a hint of elbow and some fingers popping out of nowhere, it's going to look silly. So either I'll give her something to do where I can see it. So maybe she's like this. Maybe she's holding her earring, or she's holding the back of her hair, or she does put her hand on her hip, and I just turn her around and I show it properly. So it just depends. I have no problem in doing that. There's only a couple of times where I'm okay to crop out body parts, and that is leg over leg, and there's purely perspective issues. Just get rid of it altogether. Yeah, it's like sometimes you might get the bride to hold the flowers, and it's like that. One reason why I don't want to actually crop a body part or maybe not show the full length of it is when the bride's holding flowers. If the bride holds flowers like this towards the camera, you see her arm and her entire forearm is being hidden by the flowers. It looks like she's a kangaroo. Isn't that true? And that's where I'm like, you know what? Let's bring it out like this and have fun like that. And we relax it. Nice and easy, nice and cool. Now, we've discussed the actual idea of the female pose in terms of the formal full length. We'll talk about hands in a minute, okay, after the break. Take a break for a second. Let's talk about the foundation of the male pose, the male formal full length pose. Because we may know some of that. We may know all of that. But you know with the guy, you know what we normally do? Stand there. We don't really pose him at all, do we? Now, when a guy stands in front of you a little bit nervous, you know what he's doing? He's covering up the most sensitive part of his body. Hashtag, I feel very uncomfortable, so I'm going to cover up my sensitive part of the body. So you need to make women look and feel beautiful, guys and look and feel cool. So for a guy, if the S curve defines the female form, for a guy, it's a V or a C. Let me explain. That's why I never really have a guy perfectly front onto the camera, because he's just a block. He's an eye. It's a line and a dot for his face. You might say, what's wrong with that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if the curves define the female form, for the guys, it's chest and shoulders, as we established earlier today. So if I turn the body a little bit so that one foot covers up the other, in other words, I'm not shooting a gap between my legs and one leg is covering up the other one, and I bend this knee, bang, I break that leg. All my weight's on my back leg. Pretty much it's the same as the female pose, but just less feminine. Okay, so here I am normal, turn and break. Why? And then now what I do is I hang my body forward, so my chest and my shoulders are towards the camera and my waist is further back. Why? Because I want my waist to look smaller and my chest and my shoulders to look bigger. What did we say? Emphasize something towards the camera. De-emphasize something away from the camera. Think of it as a glorified slouch. Hang, and if I put my hands in my pockets, for example, great, lean forward, and because my chest and shoulders goes forward, I wouldn't keep my face there. That'd be silly. I can't even look at you. So I bring my chin up, which means that I stretch out my face and I minimize this particular area here. Same way, for example, if I was leaning up against the wall, not that I can't do it probably very easily here. Probably I can. 1 second over here. Let me just move this out of the way. Okay, bad thing to do for a guy is this. A guy leans up against a wall like that normally. Why? Because my gut and my lower part of my body is towards the camera. Okay, not a very good thing. So now I get a guy to bring his butt right on the wall. I normally, if this is the camera angle, I would bend this leg, hands in the pockets, hang the body forward and chin up. Just nice and casual way of doing it, right? So, by the way, I'll talk about hands briefly now for guys and properly for later on for girls. The worst thing you can do for a guy's hands, in my humble opinion, is put them in the pocket like this. Why? I'm basically pointing. I'm like, look at my thing. I want you to look at them right there. Or do this. This is like I'm framing my boys for you. Here, there they are. Have a look over here. Guys, either all in, like that, or all out. Or if it's casual, maybe like this. But never like this, never like that, in my humble opinion. Now you might say, what do I do with a guy to make him look natural? Because what the hell? If you overpose him, he will look awkward. Give him something to do. Guys, we love our hands in our pockets. It's a cool way of doing it. We like holding the jacket. We like holding the button of the vest, holding the button of the shirt, holding our cuff link, adjusting our watch, adjusting our ring. You know what I mean? You know, looking over our shoulder, all these different things. Give him something to do rather than just standing there. Okay? Very, very important way. How do we actually photograph a guy even sitting down? This is the same principles apply, guys. How does a guy sit on a chair for over an hour? That's how what most guys would look like, right? Normally with one hand down the pants, you know what I mean? So, get him on the edge. Don't do that because that looks a bit nerdy. You don't want that. So what I do is I turn the body, sit on the edge, turn the body. This knee goes in, that knee goes out, and then I hang the body forward. Why is this good? Because now my chest and my shoulders are towards the camera, my waist is further back, my chin goes up, I'm going to be sharper in this area, and I've got somewhere to lean my forearms to, and this is a cool way. Do you see the C happening here? There's the C. Before, when I was standing, it was a V. You see? You see? It's a V. I'm like, that's a bit weird. Anyway, there. Watch what happens, though, if I bring this foot in and that foot out. Then I've got too low, and I'm exposing my stomach. That's why this goes up, this goes forward, this goes down. Same way when it comes to squatting. If you asked me to squat, I would do this, which looks like I'm going number 2. Not very nice to look at, right? So I turn my body. This knee goes up, that knee goes down, and I hide my gut. I shoot over the knee, don't expose my crotch. That's how I would photograph a guy squatting down. Yep. That sets the foundation now for the male pose. Hang the body, glorified slouch. Hang the body, chin up, one foot over the other, chest and shoulders towards the camera, waist further back. The S curve for the girl. I want to now talk about girls' hands. This is a really important one, guys, because you know how I talked about before where posing is a form of expression, right? Because people think posing is not a form of expression, it's just a mechanical, stuffy, stand there, whatever, do this, put your face that way. Guys, trust me, after the eyes, the hands are the most expressive thing. So you might as well use them and say something to the viewer of an image. Let's talk about hands now, okay? How do we pose a girl's hands? Okay? Now, everyone, put your hand out like this. All right. Don't go too high, that'll start a revolution. All right. Okay. What I want you to do is relax it. Just don't think about it. The only thing that's actually holding the weight of your hand is the arm and the forearm. This is doing nothing. Now what I want you to do is move your arm around and have no tension in the hand at all. Basically, you'll actually learn how to pose a hand by simply just letting it go. If a bride was doing this, if a bride was doing this, if a bride was holding a veil. Okay? Another way of explaining it is this. Everyone, hands out like this, straight. Put your hands straight on your biceps like this, very straight. Now, roll them around. That's what you want. Roll the wrists around like that. If you have really big biceps and you're a big dude like that, your freaking arm, look at his arms, man. Wow. You must work out, man. That's crazy. You make me want to be a better man is what I'm saying. But anyway, okay, hands like this and roll the wrists around. That's what you want. Guys, that's what tells you how to pose hands. Let me explain. Always remember, like, what was that seminar in DC again? What did we do? The how to what? The how to whoa? The how to wow? How to wow? What did he say? Hands. That's right. Hands like this, like that. Wait a second. There it is. Wait a second. Oh, there's the veil. Okay, wait a second. Let me grab that hand. Now, a hand being straight and wrist being straight, if that is on a guy like that straight, it says nothing. Whereas this says I love you. This says nothing. This says I love you. This says nothing. I love you. Make sense? For a girl, you pretty much want to see every body part at its slimmest. So really, for a girl, you don't really ever want to see this, or you don't want to see this. You want to see this, or you want to see that, and preferably bent. Why? Because we've probably heard the old adage that if you can bend it, right? If you can bend it, chances are it's going to be prettier, more luxurious, more curvaceous, and so on. It adds to the curves. Think about it. All that there. So put the hand on the face. Okay? Hold the veil rather than like that or that. Let me grab one of your notepads for a second. I want to draw something. So if I was to draw okay, so there we have curves, right? Just curves. Nothing fancy. You just notice curves. There's repeating curves, and that's basically it. Now, if all of a sudden I just went across and draw one straight line, there's only one line as opposed to sort of four curves, but what do you see? So, for example, let's point the toe towards me, bend the knee, shift the weight back, turn the, that's it, and now have that one arm straight holding the flowers. What do you see? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign this because it could be like worth a lot of money one day. You never know. There could just be one day you might think, oh my God, I've got that piece of paper that Jerry drew. All right. Okay. So guys, hands. Now, hands and body for that matter, what I like to do, guys, I liken posing to blowing up a balloon and letting some air out. Let some air out. Think about it. I'm trying to give you little analogies and things to remember it by that you never forget ever again. It just makes it a whole lot simpler, a whole lot easier. Any questions about hands? I'm actually going to show you some examples of this on screen in real life to show you what I'm talking about. But more often than not, that's the principle behind posing hands. It's not that difficult when you break it down like that. So for me, I could say be on a table and do like this. It's strong for a guy to do that. I can do this. I can do this. As in, this is the thicker part of the hand. But would I do this? I wouldn't do it, right? Because it looks a bit feminine. So what I'm saying is that you want to make guys look strong and masculine. In other words, build a house for a king or a palace for a king. It's strong, it's straight, it's pillars and so on. For a queen, soft arches, pointed arches. Very soft and feminine. I'm not saying every girl is a girly girl, but I'm yet to meet a girl who wants to look masculine. Think about it. So again, I can do this for a guy. Showing the thinnest part of the guy, it just wouldn't work. Don't get me wrong, I could rest like this and it'd be okay. But you see how all my weight's on this? For a girl especially, that'd look horrible. Even for a guy, really. So maybe you just might have it nice and relaxed. For a girl, she could be resting, let's say, on a table or a chair. Now, why is that bad? Because that's my forearm's pointing towards you. I would do this. Guys would be this. You know those tag commercials where they're holding the watches? Yeah? It is weird. It's like, just wear it, dude. But anyway. You know what I mean? I don't know why, but anyway, but they're doing this. It's strong. It's a strong pose. For a girl, it might be like this, but for a guy, it'd be like this. So I remember a little while ago, when Barack went in power, and there was a cool shot of Michelle Obama, and she's ripped, isn't she? Ripped. She's toned and stuff like that. She looked very feminine with the way that her body was posed, but her hands looked really strong. And what was the photographer trying to say? She's feminine, she's the first lady, but she's ripped and she's a really good, strong first lady. So her arms said strong, her body said feminine, perfect communication to the viewer. And that's what I'm saying is, really posing and lighting is what are you trying to say? And that's why you can't do pose number 23 with bride number 47 with location number 22. Because it's going to be different every single time. Make sense? All right, guys, let's teach you some more little techniques here and sort of give you an idea of a few things. All right, so I like to help you with some principles to never run out of poses ever again. Who here gets in front of their clients, whatever it may be, whatever genre, but in front of their people and looks at them and think, what the hell do I do now? It's tough, isn't it? It's tough. If it's a couple, let's say if they're in love, and if it's a wedding or an engagement shoot or something like that, say to yourself, well, what would you do if you were in that position? If you were the guy, how would you hold her? How would you kiss her? How do you hold hands? How do you walk out? How do you hold? How does she put her hands over you? Like, relate personal experiences, and trust me, it'll give you endless ideas. But if nothing else, I want to give you the principles behind, like I said, how to never run out of poses ever again. So, I liken posing to a phone number. A phone number, let's say, is a series of digits from 1 to 7, let's say, and if you change one digit here, one digit there, all of a sudden you've got millions of combinations. Hence, we all have the same digits in our phone number, but we have all a different phone number. So, if this is the first pose ever invented, right? Okay, this is the first phone number ever invented, phone number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If she just moves a digit, all of a sudden, it gives us a different combination. So for example, if I just stay there, and now Devin, if you could move your hand in the positions that we have been previously. So let's say on the forearm first, forearm, bicep, chest, shoulder, face, your hair, like your veil, your flowers, hand on your hip. Let's say there's 10 poses there. Now let's say if I just turn my face into hers, so I change one of my digits, and then she does the exact same thing. Ready? There's 20 poses. If she now brings her forehead into mine and we look at each other's lips and she does the exact same thing, we've got 30 poses. You see what I'm trying to say? If you are running out of poses, remember my words, I'll be whispering this in your ear, change a digit. I know it sounds so simple, but when you have the blank, going with your mindset, freaking out, I'm freaking out, I'm freaking out, I'm freaking out, what do I do? Change a digit, change 2, change 3, change one of his. Do the same things. Change 2 of his, same thing. Then I want you to pretend your subjects are on a turntable, a lazy Susan, right? You know when you go to the Chinese restaurant and you have food and you go brrrr and you get something else and you hog the food, okay? Picture your couples on a turntable because chances are the shot's going to be really good from another perspective. How many people here hate it when their second shooter gets a better shot than you do? You know why they get a better shot than you do? Because you shoot one-dimensionally. You're just shooting one, straight on, full length. And you know what they're doing? They're walking around. Looking around, no pressure, no stress. Close up, 3/4, looking around, and they can get a better shot because you are freaking out with one open-minded shot, one perspective. Press the pause button. Guys, can you just stay there for a second? Let me look around. Oh, wow, what another great shot. For example, okay, let's say if you were whispering in my ear, hand up like this, point the toe, bend the knee, shift the weight back. Okay, so there's a shot from this angle. Now, let's say from my angle it's a great shot, but you can't see it. And let's say your second shooter sees it, but the lighting is bad from this area. Well, press the pause button and say, guys, turn, 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 turn. Well, there's another shot. You see what I'm trying to say? So all you have to do is press the pause button and walk around. Change your digit, turn them around, change your perspective, your lens choice, your cropping, your composition. It's endless. The thing is, it's easy after the fact, isn't it? In Lightroom or whatever you're doing to actually, color your images, you're like, I should have done that. I should have done that. Shoulda, friggin' woulda, coulda. You have the shot in the back of your camera. Take a shot, have a look. Can you do it, make it better? Make it better. Don't wait until it's too late. And then, guys, do it there and then. A good photographer will see their mistakes on the spot. And then a better photographer will actually prevent them from happening. Prevention is better than cure. Don't you think? Press the pause button. Now, I'm not begrudging you if you're just starting. We all start somewhere. We all suck when we start. True? Are we getting better? That's okay. That's all I care about. I care about not being the best, just being better than last week. That's my mantra among many. Okay? All right, everyone understand that principle behind that? All right, change a digit, change 2, change perspective, change lens choice, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Let's talk about now posing as architecture. I'll often talk about posing as architecture because without emotion, it pretty much is just a couple of glorified buildings. There's nothing going on, right? Often what I'll do is I'll get my couples to build their own house. And then I'll decide whether I tear it down and rebuild or renovate. How many people in this room have actually ever renovated an actual house and then realized halfway through they should have torn it down and rebuilt from scratch? Quite a few of us, right? Same thing with posing. What I'm saying about them building their own house is because they may have got a better design than you, because there may be some little nuance, some little cute little thing that they do that you won't be privy to if you pose every little finger the whole day. Let me explain. So if you go out there for me, Devon. Let's just say I said to the couple, hey, I want you to meet in the middle, and Jerry, I want you to hug Devon from behind. That's the way a guy normally will hug a girl. It's a bit awkward, isn't it? Here's a few reasons why it's awkward. One, it looks like I'm kidnapping her a little bit. Two, she's pressing up her arms against her body. Three, my hands are on her belly, bringing attention to her belly, and I'm photographing her front on, and you can hardly see me. That's all. So how would I renovate this? First of all, I'd hold her on her hips. I'd turn her body. I'd point her toe. I'd bend her knee, shift her weight back, arms off her body. I'd slightly bend my knee, and I'd turn my face in. So let's say that's my renovation. Some couples are very awkward, very clumsy, take a while to get it, and if I pose them a certain way, like if I get them to build their own house very quickly, I pretty much know if they're the graceful couple or I'll need to sort of build from scratch every single time. I'll tell you they're probably the most awkward couple I've ever had in my life. But it's almost like the awkwardness was the most endearing. It's so funny. All right, so if we were this close apart, and let's say if I was a photographer and you heard these words as a couple, and if I said touch noses, what would you think I meant by that? You would think cute little tickle Eskimo kiss, right? You know what they did? I said, guys, touch noses. It was so ridiculous, but really cute. But they were just awkward, but they suited each other perfectly. So I sort of went with that. The awkwardness was quite the endearing, quirky part of them, so I sort of went with that. And every so often I'd make it perfect and stuff like that. So it depends on who they are. Depends on who they are. Any questions before we keep on moving on? Are you soaking this in? I'm trying to give you things and principles behind it so that you can never run out of these ideas ever again, and you can practice on your own, because I can just show you 3,000 poses. It doesn't mean anything. I've got to show you principles that you can apply to anything. Okay? I want to talk about balance now, because often posing has got to do with balance, and many of us don't realize it. Let me explain. Who here in this room has done the good old walking away from the camera shot, looking back at the camera shot? All of us at one time or another. Here's why sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. Because you catch the couple in an awkward way. Watch this. If our legs are forward and then you ask us to look back, we can hardly look back. It's impossible. It's hard. But if this leg and this leg are out, there's no problem. You see what I'm trying to say? And what the difference was? The inner legs were out. So you could use it to your advantage. Let's say if you wanted to feature the bride and have a hint of me, no problem. Have her leg back, my leg forward. You see? Or vice versa. That's why sometimes you go, hey, look back at me. And they'll look back and think, oh, not very pretty. Because it's sort of, you're trying to do this. Okay? Also, when it comes to walking shots, this took me a while to work out. I'll say to the bride and groom, hey, guys, go for a walk. Now, because usually if you're doing a walking shot, you're far away. If you yell out, go for a walk, just the pure energy level and the sound and the speed at which you're saying it implies for them to walk fast. Okay? And then you look at the ground. Now, even with focus tracking, it's hard to focus, right? It's very difficult to do that perfectly. But what did we say? Turn the body away from the light and face back in. The light's coming from that direction. The cool thing is, well, yeah, we're turning our body away from the light because the lighting is there. So the light's cutting across our bodies, causing a bit of shadow and dimension and depth, great. But I'm not going to rely on her just looking in the right position, hoping to. So I say to her, I want you to look at the top of that tree. Now, her face is in a good position, but what about mine? Well, maybe whisper something in her ear to make her laugh. Okay? So, and then I say, I want you to walk about this pace. When a woman walks fast, in fact, just walk fast that way. Okay. Now, what did you notice about the way she walked? So when she walked fast, she didn't really have one foot over the other, like the good old sort of curvy, catwalky way of walking. So she walked fast, and pretty much you would probably have a gap between her legs the whole way through. There's just a gap. What's sexy in a woman is the curves. So if you ask her to walk slow, anyone with heels walking slow naturally would put one foot in front of the other without even wanting to, which means the hip goes left, the hip goes right, left, right, left, right. Beautiful. Make sense? All right, over here, darling. So now we say, walk slow, about that pace, look at the top of that tree, talk into her ear. Hand in the pocket for me, otherwise it looks a bit weird. And then what we do is we click here. So ready? Click, click. We never go click here, midway through. Okay? Ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. I see a little silhouette of a man's got a whoosh, will you do the fun done? Okay, so I'll make her laugh, whatever, talk shit, I don't care what I do, I'll say anything. Make her laugh, great. Do you see how now we get everything that we want in a shot, of a walking shot? It's simple stuff, but it makes all the difference. The good old dipping shot. Who here does the dipping shot? Admit it. It's a cheesy pleasure that we all do, right? The good old dip. Here's why sometimes it'll look good and sometimes it won't. You'll say to a groom, hey, dip the bride. He'll be like this. He won't know where to look or what to do. His feet are pretty much next to him, and she's overly dramatic. Okay, so here's what, first thing you need to do. Bring the leg of the groom beyond the bride, and then I can dip her all I want, and she's not going nowhere. She feels protected. Now, the problem with that is, though, when you dip someone, you normally dip them away from the camera. It's just a natural flow and movement, right? So you need to know that a good dipping shot starts slightly over the shoulder of the bride. So if that's the camera, turn. And then I put one foot, and then I dip her to a point where she's actually parallel to the camera. Now, apart from that, though, she can't be too dramatic, because this is what happens. If she's overly dramatic, now, where's my face going to go? I can't reach her. I'm not going to motorboat her, for God's sake. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So what do? Well, I'm saying a little dip goes a long way. Dip her to the point where he can reach her face. So now I can kiss her cheek, her temple, giggle, whisper in her ear, make her have fun, whatever. Make sense? If she was plus size and you want to do the dipping shot, this leg goes over the other side. This arm comes underneath and turn her face. You see how now a lot of her body's hidden? Make sense? All right, what about the good old kissing shot? Just kissing. How hard can that be? Here are the problems that I see. There's the camera. There's us. You obviously face the couple to each other. Pretty obvious, right? And if you say, hey dude, Jerry, kiss the bride. I kiss, and I basically, no matter who kisses, whoever puts their face in front, you're going to hide that kiss. Almost inevitably. Instinctually, a guy protects what's his. It's an animal instinct. I'm going to protect, I'm like a lion, like bang, I'm going to cover up. I believe it's sexier to see a woman on the outside of the kiss. So, a good kissing shot starts slightly over the shoulder of the groom, in my opinion. There's the camera. See how it's slightly over my shoulder? So she tilts that way. Her nose is on the outside, and my nose is this side. Let's say we're tall and you're a bit shorter. How do you engage the photographer more? No problem. So there, and lean forward. And that's how you would do it. One more thing. Guys, this is an important one. Everyone forgets to do this. This leg cannot be straight of the guy. Because you might know, point the toe, bend the knee, shift the weight back. If I'm holding her and kissing her here, do you see if this leg is straight? It says nothing. This leg has to bend. For one thing, now we're embracing with our legs. And also, it's shifting my energy towards the woman that I love. Or a little arrow is forming, so to speak, to the woman that I love. Always remember, get the groom's weight on his back leg and bend that knee. Otherwise, it's static, which says, I don't love you. What are you trying to say? Sometimes also, you work out the quickest way of doing something. the quickest way of getting to a destination in terms of posing. For example, if I said to Devon, embrace Jerry with your leg. It's cheesy, right? It's silly. Now, if I said, embrace me with your leg, but keep your toe touching the ground. You see how that automatically shifted her weight on her back leg? She bent her knee, she shifted her weight back, arch her back more. So my hand in this pose probably would go up because I want to expose the thinnest part of her waist. These fingers might go towards the camera, which means I might just get rid of them altogether. Hold her for feeling, but not expose them because it's awkward. If I want to see more of the hand to make sense, you see what I'm trying to say? And then lean towards the camera. And then you can kiss, you can do what you want. Let me go tall guy, shorter girl. Is there anyone in the room that's down to earth, hashtag short? Like down to earth, as in closer to the earth? Is there anyone here 5 feet? Girl? All right, darling, come here. What happens if we were getting married? Okay, so now, would I do this all day? That's ridiculous. It looks like I'm marrying my daughter, okay? I don't do that. If we were this height difference, people would know we were this height difference. All I want to do is make it more aesthetically pleasing. So, turn her body a slight touch, point her toe, bend her knee, shift her weight back. If we do that too much with her, she gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So, she does that feminine pose, but just not so pronounced. Not so pronounced. Okay, so I stand about a foot behind and then lean forward with my front foot, and she goes nice and straight, and I tilt my face. I basically just make it more aesthetically pleasing. Now, from the perspective of the camera, this leg has to overlap the other leg. Otherwise, if not, you'll know that I'm doing this. So a foot behind, and I lean forward, and that's how I do it. Okay? Now, if I want to do a hugging from behind pose, the exact same thing. Foot behind, lean forward, tilt. Yeah. Okay? But what happens if we're walking? Very difficult to actually hide the fact that David and Goliath are getting married, so to speak. Okay? The bride goes forward, 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 stop. And the camera is from that angle. But what happens if we're walking down the church, like the recessional, because there's only about 2-3 feet in between. I can't really move left or right. I can't tell her to move forward or back. It's almost impossible. You know what I do? I tilt the camera. Now, yes, I am missing a bit of my left index finger. Don't freak out. That happened a long time ago. It's all good. Don't be shy. Okay. If I tilt the camera this way, I get taller. I tilt the camera this way. So we're the same height now, right? Bang. That's where I don't really like to tilt too much, but that's where I give myself permission to tilt. I would sit on the chair. She'd sit on my lap. I would sit on the chair. She'd hold me from behind. She would stand on the curb. She would stand on a step. I might get us on a white background, tilt the camera again. You wouldn't even know if I'm tilting.
How many degrees would that?
As in tilting?
Yes.
Just whatever feels good. There's no real science to it. It's whatever looks and feels good. Look in your camera, tilt and say, oh, ugh. When you tilt too much, well, here's the golden rule. You've tilted too much when the shot can work both ways. As in, if you turn the shot vertical and horizontal and it can roughly work both ways, you've gone too far. So, I'll go more than 20, 30, but don't make too literal about it. Just whatever feels right. Chances are, if you think it's too tilted, then you've gone too far. You always go with your gut. Thank you, darling. So do I use tilting for any other purpose other than height difference? With vertical, I usually am always parallel to the edge of the strongest vertical in my frame, which means I don't really tilt when I'm vertical. Horizontal, I only tilt when there's many lines and it actually helps the movement of the image. Or sometimes I tilt when a couple is on a blank wall for stylistic reasons, but you can't tell because there's no line to know to give me a comparison of what's vertical and what's horizontal. That's the reasons why I do it. And a lot of these questions will be answered as I start shooting, where it'll just happen organically and evolve naturally. If it is a tall bride and a shorter groom, it normally means that he's rich. No, okay. It's the same thing. In fact, it's a lot easier. So she would point her toe the way she does, bend the knee and shift the weight back. She does it even more pronounced. And the guy stands here as straight as possible. Slightly bend that knee. See how it drops about half an inch? You might not do it in that case. Make sure she wears flats. She might want Manolo Blahniks because she's, oh my God, I've always wanted to wear Manolos on my wedding day. Take those Manolo Blahnik shots during the day, like before they get together and all that kind of stuff. Then get her to wear freaking ballet flats for the rest of the day. Otherwise, I'm traditional like that. I don't like when the girl looks masculine. If she looks like an Amazon woman and it's like a little boy getting married, like it just doesn't, I don't know. For me, it doesn't look as nice. With the first dance, what do we do? And again, if you've got this sort of towering guy with a shorter girl, just tilt. Remember, taller, shorter, which way do we tilt? If I tilt in favor of her, it's actually he gets taller. I've got to tilt this way, and it goes back in line. When you look at the image, sort of a normal orientation, it just comes back in line a little bit there as well. So just do whatever you can. Guys, there's no absolute in photography. We're just trying to come up with common denominators that satisfies most of the things that we're confronted with. And every so often, there'll be just, you got to work on the fly. And you can break any rule. Break every one of my rules, traditional photography rules, only if it looks good. Not out of laziness, and hopefully not out of ignorance. What happens when we have like a really dark-skinned guy, pale-skinned girl? Who do we expose for? How do we do it? For digital, we expose for highlights. With film, we used to expose for shadows and develop for highlights. So you want detail in the brightest highlight in the face and the dress, and then normally everything takes care of itself. The difference is when we photograph African American skin, for example, we try to make them look Caucasian and try to get detail out like it's completely soft. Don't forget, it's just darker. Doesn't mean there's no detail. And of course, now with raw conversion, you can bring that detail up there as well as too. Or you might even want to go a bit in between. If it's ridiculously different, like that really, really dark chocolate sort of skin tone and that really pale, like I haven't seen the sun ever and I'm a goth, then you might even want to go in the middle. But I personally, I still find I expose, or I want the detail in the brightest highlight in the face and then bring up those details. Because then if you're shooting on the beach as well, you've got the big sky, the blue sky, and if you go for the shadow, you just get a white sky, not blue. So that's what I would do.